Hey guys, welcome to a very special or important edition of Know Your Weapon. This time I'll actually be covering one of my favorite aircraft, as I said in my update video if you guys watched it. The A-10, or it used to be called the Warthog, but now it's the A-10 Thunderbolt 2, or at least that's the A-10C version. Now, this aircraft, the reason why it's my favorite aircraft, first of all, is because I think, first of all, this thing looks badass. It's ridiculously powerful on the battlefield, and it's got so much to offer to those of you who need to maybe call it in for support, for example. And I'm going to actually get into some of the facts and stuff in a little bit, just because this is a really interesting aircraft, because it's also, even though it's not a jet as a lot of people call it, or well, technically yeah it is, but it does not use jet engines like a lot of modern or what you guys would consider a jet. It doesn't have afterburners and stuff. It actually uses two GE like T34 turbine engines, or TG34 or something like that, which don't have afterburners, but it also helps keep the aircraft at a better pace. It uses less fuel, and it also allows it to go slower, which may seem like something you don't really want to do in the battlefield. But for this aircraft, and the reason why it was designed is for this. Like, those engines are really helpful, because it also helps the aircraft be a lot more accurate, and it helps the pilots and the gunner find, or not the gunner, but the pilot find the enemies a lot easier. Whereas a jet that's going 500 something miles an hour, they're going to have a big problem trying to find enemy ground forces, and specifically tanks and armored vehicles like that. So, but first of all, I want to give you guys some background information on this, and sorry that this video didn't come out a little bit sooner. I got pretty sick. I've had a sore throat and everything, and I didn't really want to put out a video while sounding all sick and messed up. You know, it just doesn't. It kind of ruins the quality of the video. So, but the very first A-10 was the actual A-10A, and it was delivered to an Air Force base in Arizona of October 1975. That was the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, and this aircraft, the A-10, as you can tell by the looks and what I've already told you before we got into this, is that it's designed for close air support, meaning backing up ground forces, like on the Allied side, which for us would be the United States. But this aircraft it's got an ability to carry heavy, like really large payloads, so it helps it do a lot more damage on the battlefield. And like I said about those turbine engines, it helps it loiter, which means they can stay up in the air for a lot longer than any other jet aircraft can do, which is a really helpful thing, because they can be on standby and wait to be, if they need to be called in and come in and provide support, so you don't have to be launched from a carrier and spend, you know, half an hour to 2 hours coming up there. They can be up in the skies circling you guys, just waiting for you guys to let them know when it's their time to come down. Now, this aircraft also, like I said, about the fuel capacity and everything, or not capacity, but the amount of fuel these turbine engines use, allow it to have a much wider combat radius than a lot of jet aircraft do. So, now this is actually really helpful for missions like Operation Desert Storm. Was actually one really famous one you guys have probably heard about. This aircraft was used in Operation Desert Storm, and it was also used in Operation Noble Anvil. Now, the modern one that came out in September of 2007 is the A-10C. Now, this one was also designed for close air support, but it carries a slightly larger load and a more varied ordnance load. The loiter time was actually improved, and it's a lot more accurate than the original A-10 was. So this aircraft, I mean, it's got amazing field capability and survivability. So in this aircraft, actually has a manual flight system. So in case the redundant hydraulic flight systems crash, or somebody shoots a hydraulic pump or hydraulic hose or something, and there's a hydraulic leak or whatever, the pilot can actually manually control the aircraft, and it's a lot harder to fly, but it keeps those pilots alive. So this aircraft is extremely durable. Like, I really can't even express that to you guys. So, but this aircraft has actually been used in Operation Desert Fox, Desert Storm, Enduring Freedom is another one you guys might use, and Iraqi Freedom, and another one you guys might have heard about is Operation Provide Comfort. But let's get into more of some of the facts of this. Now, the company who makes this aircraft is Fairchild Republic. And like I was talking about, the engines, they're actually the GE TF34 100 turbofans, which means it's a turbine engine. And actually this they produced almost 10,000 pounds of thrust per engine, so that's almost 20,000 pounds of thrust just for each engine. Now that's total. That's actually the exact amount between the two engines is 18,130 pounds of thrust for the two engines combined. Now that's a lot of thrust. From the end of each wing to the other end of the wing it's called the wingspan. It's actually 57.5 feet, so it's a pretty long aircraft, or pretty wide, I shouldn't say long. And the length is 53 feet with 4 inches, and it's only 14 feet tall, so that's actually not really tall, but that's for an aircraft that's about average. Now this actually is a pretty heavy aircraft. It actually weighs 29,000 pounds, which is I don't want to do the math, but the maximum takeoff weight, which is the maximum amount of weight that this aircraft can take off with, is actually 51,000 pounds. So that's pretty damn heavy. It carries 11,000 pounds of fuel and 16,000 pounds of ammunition, which isn't just the Gatling gun, which I'll get to a little bit more later. And this thing's top speed is actually only 420 miles an hour, which is a great number. But no, that's actually not very fast. Like I was talking about, those other jet engines, they usually cruise around that speed. So it's really hard for them to get the good accuracy and power that this aircraft can provide. And this thing's range is about 800 miles. So that's a pretty significant amount of distance. And also, the highest this aircraft can go is 45,000 feet. So, but this aircraft has a really famous gun on it, actually. Famous because of this aircraft, actually, is why. It's got a 130mm GAU 7-barrel Gatling gun. Now, that fires 30mm depleted uranium rounds, which is extremely powerful and helps penetrate the armor on those tanks that this aircraft was actually designed to take out. So, but this aircraft has 8 under the wing mounting points for 8 different things under the wings, and then 3 under the fuselage. They're all pylons stations, and this thing can carry including the 500-pound Mk-82 bomb, the 2,000-pound Mk-84 high drag bomb, which means it takes longer to hit the ground. Incendiary cluster bomb, so that sets things on fire. Combined effects munitions, mine dispersing munitions, AGM-65 Maverick missiles, and laser guided bombs. Now this aircraft infrared countermeasure flares, so if they ever get locked onto by like a SAM system or Stingers, as you guys might think about, which are handheld ground to air missiles. And electronic countermeasures, as well as jamming pods. And it can also carry illumination flares, which help light up the ground at night, and AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles. So, but there's actually only 143 A-10s in the active duty right now, and only 70 A-10C. So that's not a huge amount. Now, one thing I did want to show you guys real quick was this little clip of just to show you the power of that Gatling gun I was trying to express to you guys. So let's go ahead and play that clip for you guys.
Nice.
So as you guys can see, this is an extremely powerful aircraft. Now, unfortunately, in that clip, the dust actually, it takes a long time for that dust to clear out. So, but if you watch the entire thing, or you look closely at it, you can see like the whole front of the building was just blown clean off. And keep in mind, that's not by any missiles. That's from just the cannon of this aircraft. So that should put it in perspective of just how powerful this monster is. So. But if you ever want to like go to your local air show, they usually fly these things around just so you can get a glimpse of how badass these things really look. So, But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And let me know what you guys think of this episode, because this is my favorite aircraft, so I felt like I could put some real enthusiasm in this one and maybe keep you guys entertained. Now, I know it is awfully long compared to my normal episodes. However, this is, like I said, this is a very special episode. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more commentaries.